The world watched in shock as the President of the United States shared something unthinkable, a video depicting Barack and Michelle Obama as apes, not hidden in the shadows of the internet, but posted directly from the presidential account on Truth Social. For years, Americans have comforted themselves with the same phrase after each Trump controversy: "This is not who we are." But after nearly a decade of escalating racism, from birtherism to border walls to this, perhaps it's time we face an uncomfortable truth. This is who America has allowed itself to be. And Donald Trump isn't the disease, he's just the symptom of something far more dangerous. On the night of February 6, 2026, as most Americans slept, President Trump was wide awake, spiraling through another of his now infamous late night social media binges. Among the flood of posts came a 62-second video. The video started with election fraud conspiracies about Georgia, standard Trump fare, but at the end, something far more sinister appeared: digitally manipulated footage depicting former President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama as apes in a jungle setting. This wasn't some random meme from the depths of 4chan. This was amplified by the most powerful office in the world. The post remained live for roughly 12 hours before bipartisan outrage forced its removal. The White House initially defended it, calling criticism an overreaction to an internet meme. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt doubled down, mocking those offended. But as condemnation poured in, not just from Democrats, but from within Trump's own party, the narrative shifted to damage control. The Republican response was swift but revealing. Senator Tim Scott, the only black Republican senator, called it the most racist thing I've seen out of this White House. He publicly urged Trump to remove the post immediately. Congressman Mike Lawler stated bluntly the image posted was racist. GOP Representative Nancy Mace said she was praying it was fake because it's the most racist thing I've seen. But here's what's telling. While a handful of Republicans expressed discomfort, party leadership largely stayed silent. No mass resignations, no coordinated denunciation, just uncomfortable statements and a return to business as usual. This pattern mirrors countless earlier episodes. Outrage flares, statements are issued, and then the system absorbs the shock and moves on. Each cycle lowers the bar a little further. When confronted by reporters, Trump's response was predictable: deflection, denial, and defiance. I looked at it, I saw it, and I just looked at the first part. It was about voter fraud in some place, Georgia, Trump claimed. I didn't see the whole thing. I guess during the end of it, there was some kind of a picture that people don't like. I wouldn't like it either, but I didn't see it. When asked if he would apologize, Trump was emphatic. No, I didn't make a mistake. I mean, I look at thousands of things. Think about that defense for a moment. The President of the United States, the man with nuclear codes and access to the most sophisticated intelligence apparatus on Earth, claims he shares content to 90 million followers without actually watching it. He later tried to shift blame to an aide, then admitted he directed the aide to post it, but claimed he didn't see that part. It was a masterclass in evasion, but this wasn't an isolated incident. It was the latest chapter in a decades-long story. Trump's racist history didn't begin with his presidency. It began in the 1970s when his company was sued by the Justice Department for refusing to rent apartments to black tenants. It continued with his full-page ads calling for the execution of the Central Park Five, five innocent black and Latino teenagers. Image reference historical documents about Trump's discrimination cases, and then came birtherism. For 5 years, Trump led a racist conspiracy campaign claiming Barack Obama wasn't born in America. He demanded Obama's birth certificate, suggested it was fake, and built his entire political brand on delegitimizing the first black president. Even after Obama released his long-form birth certificate in 2011, Trump continued to sow doubt. He only admitted Obama was born in America in 2016 and then immediately blamed Hillary Clinton for starting the rumor, which was false. From calling Mexican immigrants rapists to referring to African nations as shithole countries, from Charlottesville to the Muslim ban, Trump has consistently deployed racism as a political weapon. Image, video reference, compilation of Trump's racist statements over the years. The Obama ape video wasn't a deviation from character, it was an expression of it. But there's another disturbing pattern emerging: Trump's late night posting sprees and apparent cognitive decline. In recent months, Trump has been caught on camera appearing to doze off during official meetings. In December 2025, he struggled to keep his eyes open for nearly 6 minutes during a cabinet meeting while Marco Rubio spoke. The racist Obama video was posted during one of Trump's 3 a.m. social media marathons. In recent months, he's fired off dozens, sometimes hundreds of posts in the middle of the night, lashing out at perceived enemies, recycling conspiracies, and now sharing racist imagery. Former Trump White House attorney Ty Cobb has publicly stated he believes Trump is experiencing significant decline in his mental faculties. While questions about cognitive decline are politically sensitive, they become unavoidable when a sitting president uses his platform to amplify racist imagery at 2 a.m. without restraint. Trump's personal conduct is disturbing enough, but the broader legal and institutional landscape reveals something darker. Systemic racism isn't just reflected in rhetoric, it's codified in policy. In 2025, the U.S. Supreme Court, whose far-right majority includes 3 justices appointed by Trump, lifted restrictions on federal immigration enforcement. The ruling effectively permits ICE agents to consider someone's appearance or accent when deciding whom to question or arrest. This judicial decision, coming at a time of aggressive immigration enforcement under Trump, underscores how systemic racism operates. It's not just presidential tweets, it's legal frameworks that normalize discrimination. From mass deportations to family separations at the border, the Trump administration has consistently targeted communities of color with policies that would be politically impossible against white populations. Here's the most disturbing question: why does this keep working? Trump hasn't survived politically despite his racism. He's survived because of it. Time and time again, his base has excused or embraced rhetoric that would once have ended political careers. When Trump called for a complete and total shutdown of Muslims entering the United States, his poll numbers among Republicans went up. When he defended white supremacists in Charlottesville, his core support didn't waver. And now, after depicting the Obamas as apes, he faces what? A few uncomfortable Republicans making statements and then getting back in line. The backlash to the Obama post was loud but ultimately limited. After initial outrage, most Republicans returned to supporting Trump's agenda. The post was deleted, the controversy cycle completed, and Trump faced no meaningful consequences. This is the pattern: racism deployed, outrage expressed, accountability evaporated, repeat. Trump has repeatedly chosen to inflame racial resentment because it works for him and for the movement he leads. His political success has depended on his willingness to say aloud what others only implied, and on an electorate willing to reward that candor. So we return to that familiar refrain: this is not who we are as Americans. But is that true, or is it a comforting lie we tell ourselves? America's history is saturated with racial violence, exclusion, and dehumanization. From slavery and Jim Crow to redlining and mass incarceration, from Chinese exclusion acts to Japanese internment camps, from Native American genocide to police brutality. Trump's rhetoric doesn't invent these realities. It resurrects and repackages them. The shock many feel at seeing such language emerge from the presidency reflects not the novelty of the ideas, but the breaking of a long-standing illusion that power would always cloak them in euphemism. Trump stripped away the euphemisms. He said shithole countries instead of non-white immigration. He posted ape comparisons instead of coded language about urban crime. He made the subtext text, and millions of Americans responded not with rejection, but with enthusiasm. Defenders of American exceptionalism often argue that the nation is defined by its progress, not its failures, yet progress has always been contested, partial, and fragile. The fact that a president can publicly demean his black predecessor using racist caricature and face only muted consequences suggests that racism is not a fringe deviation, but a persistent feature of political life. Let's be clear about something. Questions about age and fitness for office have been raised before, including during Joe Biden's presidency. But at no point did Biden use racial slurs, circulate dehumanizing imagery, or target entire ethnic communities for contempt. Biden's struggles were with speech patterns and occasional confusion, age-related challenges that affect cognitive processing. Trump's behavior is fundamentally different. It's not about age or temperament. It's about values and choices. He has repeatedly chosen to inflame racial resentment, amplify conspiracy theories, and dehumanize political opponents, particularly opponents of color. This isn't cognitive decline. This is who he has always been, now unrestrained by the norms that once constrained presidential behavior. The timing makes this even more grotesque. February is Black History Month, a time meant to celebrate African American contributions to American history. Instead, the President of the United States used this moment to share imagery comparing the first Black president and First Lady to primates. This isn't tone deaf. It's deliberate. Trump has made a career of strategic provocation, and the timing of this post during the 100th anniversary of Black History Month cannot be dismissed as coincidence. So what happens now? If history is any guide, this controversy will eventually fade from headlines. It will be absorbed into the long list of Trump scandals, remembered as that time he posted the racist Obama video alongside fine people on both sides, and when he called African countries shitholes. The system will absorb the shock and move on. Some Republicans will express discomfort. Democrats will demand accountability. Investigations may be promised. And then nothing. Each cycle establishes a new baseline. What was once unthinkable becomes normalized. The next provocation will be slightly worse and will repeat the same pattern. This is how authoritarianism advances, not through a sudden coup, but through incremental normalization of the previously unacceptable. The Obama post should linger as a mirror. When Americans insist again and again that this is not who we are, they must confront why such moments keep happening, why they are tolerated, and why they rarely produce lasting consequences. Trump did not smuggle racism into American politics. He exposed how deeply embedded it already was. In that sense, the most disturbing aspect of Trump's lifelong commitment to racism is not its brazenness, but its familiarity. The outrage it provokes coexists with resignation. The condemnation coexists with complicity. If America truly wants to claim that this is not who it is, that claim must be proven through action, not repetition. Until then, the evidence suggests a harsher truth. Trump is not an aberration standing outside American values. He is a reflection of a nation still unwilling to fully reckon with its own racism. The question isn't whether Trump is racist. The evidence is overwhelming and undeniable. The question is whether America will finally hold him accountable, or whether we'll continue to absorb each new outrage until nothing shocks us anymore. The answer to that question will define not just this presidency, but the future of American democracy itself. Because if a president can post racist imagery depicting former leaders as subhuman, face minimal consequences, and continue governing without real accountability, then perhaps this is who we are, and that should terrify us all. This has been an independent analysis of Trump's racist post and America's ongoing failure to confront systemic racism. If you found this video valuable, please like, share, and subscribe. More importantly, demand accountability from your elected representatives. This cannot be normalized. This cannot become just another news cycle. History is watching, and it will judge us not by our words, but by our actions.